Getting rich is often thought of as making one giant leap. The truth is, though, it's rarely a lucky stock pick or some crazy business idea that explodes. In fact, chasing shortcuts is often the fastest way for people to lose money. But imagine you turn a ship's course by just 1 degree. The change may seem almost invisible today, but leads to a completely different destination in the long run. So, real wealth is usually built with small decisions. And these decisions are repeated for years. Decisions that might not seem important today, but can completely change where you end up further down the line. And that is what today's video is all about. My name is Guy, and this is The Bureau, and over the last few years we've helped over 3 million people cut through the noise around money and markets. And today we'll look at 12 habits that will change your financial journey for the better. Okay, let's begin with an easy one. Tracking your net worth once a month. Imagine 2 people earn exactly the same salary. One steadily buys investments and pays down debt. The other spends every raise or bonus and adds new monthly payments. Their incomes look identical, but their financial futures are clearly heading in opposite directions. That's why the first habit is to track your net worth once a month. And the calculation here is simple. Add up what you own, then subtract what you owe. Unlike your salary, this is the number that shows whether you are actually building wealth or not. Choose one date each month and list your cash, investments, pension savings, and property. Then subtract credit card balances, personal loans, and your mortgage. A basic spreadsheet, notebook, or app is enough. It's just a financial checkup, so take it easy. Don't panic if the number falls occasionally. Markets move, large bills arrive, and property values change all the time. That is all normal. Just focus on the direction across 6 or 12 months. Is debt shrinking? Are investments growing? Is your overall position improving? That's what you need. So think of your net worth as your financial scoreboard. Income tells you how many points entered the game, and the net worth figure shows how many you were able to keep. So looking wealthy on payday is pretty overrated and, in fact, downright misleading. Now, once you can see the score, the second habit helps improve it without depending on willpower. You see, many people plan to invest whatever remains at the end of the month. Unfortunately, by the end of the month, well, we all know what happens by the end of the month. So instead, treat investing like a bill you owe your future self. Arrange for an affordable amount to leave your account shortly after your salary arrives. This is before all the takeaways, subscriptions, and a streak of online purchases. You see, automation removes 2 decisions you would otherwise face every month: whether to invest and whether now is the right time. Once the system is running, progress no longer depends on remembering, feeling motivated, or waiting for some perfect moment that may never arrive. Start with an amount that comfortably fits your budget, even if it seems small. Set up a recurring transfer through your bank, employer, or investment platform, then review it occasionally. Consistency is what matters here, not heroic sums that lead to complete instability elsewhere. But of course, automation should not mean ignoring expensive debt or essential emergency savings. Just get the order right for your particular circumstances. But once investing becomes part of payday, your future gets paid before you expand your spending habits. Now, stay with me for this one, because the next habit makes this system even stronger whenever your income rises. The third habit is to increase how much you invest whenever your income increases. Makes perfect sense, right? Because honestly, a pay rise feels like extra money for about 5 minutes only. Just until the raise leads to a nicer apartment, upgraded phone, and fancier takeaway orders. And then you're wondering how you're back at your old salary again. So to prevent that, create a personal raise rule in advance. For example, you could invest half of every salary increase and enjoy the rest. There's no perfect percentage here. The important part, though, is deciding before you turn that extra money into another set of avoidable expenses for yourself. You might feel the urge to simply leave the extra money sitting in your current account, but increasing investments right when the raise arrives is much less painful. You still take home more than before while quietly sending more money towards your future. Use the same rule for bonuses, freelance income, and unexpected windfalls. Before deciding what to buy, give some of the increase a long-term job. Then raise your automatic contribution immediately rather than trusting yourself to remember several months later. Think of every income increase as having two customers, present you and future you. Both deserve a share. But investing more becomes much easier when the money is aimed at something specific, which brings us to the fourth habit to develop. When you say, "I want to get better with money," it may sound responsible, but it gives you no target. Better by how much, by when, and what exactly are you supposed to do tomorrow? So remember, a useful goal needs 4 things: a purpose, a target amount, a deadline, and a regular action. So save more might become build a $3,000 emergency fund within 12 months by transferring $250 each month. Now you have something you can track and measure. The same structure works whether you're clearing credit card debt, saving for a home, or reaching an investment target. So work backwards from the deadline, divide the amount into monthly steps, and check whether those steps are even realistic. Try to focus on 1 or 2 major goals at a time. A financial wish list containing a house deposit, early retirement, 6 holidays, and a yacht may sound inspiring, but that's not really a plan. Clear priorities tell each spare cent where it needs to go. And having specific goals also makes sacrifice feel more purposeful. Yes, it requires a lot of discipline, which isn't easy to master. But you need to recognize what things are really costing you in the long run. And it's not just money you pay, it's also time. There's no other way around it. So, making better financial decisions becomes much easier when you know what you're aiming for, but it also helps to understand the forces shaping your money. And there's no easier way to stay better informed about money and markets than by signing up for the Money Bureau newsletter. That's where we break down all manner of investing concepts and finance topics to help educate you on your financial journey. So just click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. And now let's return to our list, because habit number 5 changes the way you see the real cost of almost everything you buy. So the 5th habit is to calculate purchases in hours worked, not just money. A $200 gadget may look affordable on a screen, especially when the retailer further breaks it down to 4 seemingly painless payments of $50. You're probably thinking, so what's wrong with that? Well, let's change the perspective and see. Work out how many hours you must spend earning that $200. Use your take-home hourly income rather than your headline salary. If you keep $15 for every hour worked, then that gadget costs more than 13 hours of your life. And this is where modern payments make prices feel strangely weightless. Contactless cards, saved payment details, and installment plans separate the pleasure of buying from the discomfort of paying. So, converting the amount into time makes the trade-off feel real again. You don't need to perform this calculation before buying toothpaste, by the way. No, save it for expensive, non-essential purchases, subscriptions, or upgrades. Just ask yourself, would I willingly trade that many working hours for the value this will add to my life? So the idea is not to feel guilty whenever you spend money. No, it's just to separate purchases that actually improve your life from those that you'll have forgotten by this time next week. And that leads me to the 6th habit to avoid: financing things that lose value. Imagine making payments on an item that becomes less valuable every month. That's just like trying to keep filling a bucket with a hole in it. Take a new car, for example. While its market value may be falling, interest pushes the amount you pay in the opposite direction. The same problem can apply to premium electronics, luxury goods, and other purchases that may be outdated before the debt disappears. Now, this doesn't mean every loan is automatically irresponsible. You may need reliable transport for work or equipment that helps you earn money. The key is to borrow for necessity or productivity, not simply because the monthly payments made an upgrade appear more affordable. So, before financing anything, compare the cash price with the full amount you'll repay. Check the interest rate, fees, loan length, and likely resale value. A comfortable monthly payment can still hide an uncomfortable total bill. And where possible, save first, buy used, choose a cheaper model, or keep the current item longer. Wealth becomes much harder to build when your income is committed to upgrades that won't last very long. And that brings us to the next little habit. Yep, you guessed it. The 7th habit is to avoid lifestyle creep. You're sitting there one evening wondering how your income has increased quite a bit over the years, but you still don't feel richer. In most cases, you've simply been upgrading your lifestyle along with each increase in income. A nicer apartment, a premium car, new memberships, and extra subscriptions. It may all seem manageable. But the problem is, these upgrades become permanent monthly expenses. And before long, what were yesterday's luxuries become today's basic requirements. Now, that's partly because people eventually adapt. The first few weeks with an upgrade can feel exciting, but eventually it always becomes normal again. Always. But that cost, well, that still remains on your bank statement long after that novelty and excitement has vanished. So, whenever your income rises, take your time before you add any more fixed expenses. Direct money towards your goals and investments first. Then choose any upgrades that add value to your life. Things that save time, support your health, or create lasting enjoyment. I mean, you don't have to live like a student forever. That's not the point. No, the point is to let your lifestyle grow more slowly than your income. And that widening gap is where wealth can really accumulate. And protecting that gap becomes easier when you understand money better, which is the 8th habit we recommend. One misunderstood interest rate, investment fee, or tax rule can cost far more than what you saved with a small budget cut for years. Thankfully, though, you don't need to master the entire financial system in just a few days. Take it easy. Set aside 20 or 30 minutes each week maybe, and study just one idea until you can explain it clearly to someone else. Begin with important concepts like compound interest, inflation, credit scores, and different types of debt. Then move on to diversification, investment fees, pensions, taxes, insurance, and common scams. Each lesson adds another tool to your financial toolbox. Oh, and remember to always use credible sources. Also, finish each lesson by writing a one-sentence explanation in your own words. If the explanation still sounds like the bank wrote it, then you probably need another 10 minutes. Now, one concept per week may not feel transformative at that moment. But after a year, you understand more than 50 ideas that shape everyday financial decisions. And that knowledge can help you ask better questions, avoid costly mistakes, and recognize bad advice before it impacts your bank account and wealth goals. Now, the 9th habit is to focus on earning more, not just spending less. Cutting waste is useful, but there is obviously a limit. And it's not just your routine expenses, but the economy and other variables that also challenge your savings. Eventually, you run out of subscriptions to cancel. And there are only so many times you can replace dinner with beans before life starts feeling rather bleak. Your income, however, has far more room to grow. Start by developing a skill that employers or customers will actually pay for. Focus on abilities tied to useful results, such as generating sales, managing projects, analyzing data, or solving expensive problems. Another option is to negotiate your pay or look for a better opportunity. Keep a record of your achievements, added responsibilities, and measurable results. Then compare your salary with the market instead of walking into the conversation armed only with hopeful confidence. You could also create an additional source of income using skills you already have. Start with one realistic service or project, though, because working on multiple passive income ideas at once never works. A focused experiment beats an idea that never leaves the planning stage. Planning is important, yes, but eventually you do have to act. And remember, when extra income arrives, invest part of it automatically. Efficient budgeting plugs the leaks in your bucket, while earning more turns up the tap. Now, the last 9 habits have been mostly income and budget focused. But financial success isn't just about counting every nickel and dime. So here are 3 more habits that aren't strictly about money, but maybe even more impactful to your financial journey and your life in general. And so, the 10th habit on our list today is to distance yourself from the wrong people. We've all fallen prey to trends. You agree to one expensive dinner, which becomes a weekend away, which somehow becomes a car upgrade because, well, that's all that was discussed. Now, wrong people doesn't mean people who earn less than you, not at all. No, it means people who constantly encourage reckless spending, mock your financial goals, or call your financial boundaries boring. People around us often influence what feels normal. If everyone upgrades constantly, spends beyond their means, or measures success through possessions, then it becomes much harder to notice when you start doing the same. But that doesn't mean you have to cut off half your contacts. Just start with some realistic boundaries. Suggest cheaper activities maybe. Decline plans you can't comfortably afford. Oh, and don't feel the need to explain yourself over every financial decision. It's your life, after all. Just spend more time with people who respect your ambitions, because not every gathering should turn into a spending competition. Others may not control your financial steering wheel, but they can keep nudging it. So, hold it tight, because habit number 11 makes those nudges less powerful. You see, it doesn't matter if you're spiritual, religious, both, or none. The 11th tiny habit is to practice gratitude for what you already have. It's a feeling we're all familiar with, and that is where contentment stems from. Why is this important? Well, because the status ladder never ends. Your new phone feels impressive right up until someone beside you pulls out the newer one. And that's the reality of it all. Constant comparison can make almost any life feel inadequate. There's always a larger home, better holiday, or a more expensive item available. Always. And when feeling successful depends on owning the next thing, then saving money seems like a hassle. But gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It simply means noticing what is already useful, enjoyable, or meaningful. And that sense of contentment can reduce the urge to try and prove progress through more and more purchases. Here's a good exercise. Try writing down 3 things you value each week. Before replacing something, identify the exact problem the upgrade will solve. Then give status-driven purchases a cooling-off period instead of buying them during the first burst of excitement. Those urges mostly fade away. And look, you don't have to abandon ambition here. You can appreciate today while still striving to grow. The difference is between saying, "I can't have this," and deciding, "I do not value this enough to delay my goals." And with that, the final habit is about spending on something that may deliver a far greater return than anything else: yourself. Yes, you heard that right. The 12th tiny habit is to invest in yourself. There is only one true asset behind every salary, business, and investment decision, and yet it never appears on a brokerage statement. That asset is you. So, start with skills that can increase your professional value. That could mean improving your writing, learning data analysis, earning a useful qualification, or becoming better at sales and negotiation. The best skill is not necessarily the most fashionable one. Just focus on the ones people will pay you for. And don't forget, your health counts as an investment too. Exercise, sleep, preventative healthcare, and nutritious food may not generate income, but they protect your energy and your ability to remain productive. A longer career is not much use if all you feel is perpetual exhaustion. But be careful, just buying courses doesn't mean you're building skills. Before spending, ask what ability this will improve, how you'll practice it, and what result it should produce. Otherwise, your online course library will only drain more money. And of course, learning doesn't always have to be paid for. YouTube and other platforms provide free learning materials that you can make use of. But still, consider setting aside a modest self-investment budget for useful training, health, and professional relationships. Assets aside, your abilities determine how much money reaches you. So, strengthen the person behind the portfolio, and every other habit on this list becomes easier to maintain. Now, the reality is none of these habits will make you rich overnight, but these are habits that will make you wealthier over time. Wealth is built steadily by tracking progress, automating good decisions, avoiding costly mistakes, increasing your income, and investing in the person behind it all. And don't try to change everything tomorrow. Take these habits on one by one until it all becomes normal, and then add another. At the end, you'll find them all stacked up, and you won't believe how far you've come. So, which habit are you starting first? Which ones are you already practicing? And did you feel any change after you adopted some of these habits? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with anyone you think would benefit from watching it. That's all for now though, so as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. This is Guy, signing off.